episode 251 of our SAP on Azure video podcast. Today is July 15th, and together with Goran, we are here to talk about anything related to SAP and Microsoft. Hello, everyone. So today we are going to talk about something that I have been working on together with a great team at SAP and Microsoft, the SAP Joule and Microsoft CoPilot integration. Back in May at Sapphire Orlando, Christoph Ruehle and I had an amazing crowd for our presentation about this. So today I'm really glad to have not only him, but also Diana Patsch from SAP with us to talk about the integration, what customers can use today, and what is on our roadmap. Welcome, Diana and Christoph. So before we go into the topic, let's start with a quick introduction. What do you do at SAP? Sorry, Diana.
Okay, let me start. Hello, I'm Diana Patsch, and I have a pleasure of being the product owner for this Joule and Copilot integration. It's been tremendous fun, and it's been a great way to learn a lot of new things. Thank you very much for that. Over to you, Chris.
Yeah, my name is Christoph Ruehle. I'm the responsible product manager for this thing called Joule. So Joule is our generative AI powered co-pilot / assistant within SAP, providing access to all SAP data via natural language. So super happy to be here.
Oh, well, great to have both of you. So you already mentioned SAP Joule. We talked about Copilot. Christoph, maybe you can set the scene a little and talk about why are we bringing these two agents together?
Yeah, this journey started actually before there was hype about agentic collaboration and before this whole agent-to-agent protocols and MCP and all of this hype which is currently going on. So what has happened is within SAP a couple of years ago, we already had this vision of this assistant, and this was an evolution based on topics like conversational AI and SAP CoPilot, the official name, right, which we had already a couple of years ago.
And the evolution. Sorry, Chris, but that's actually still something that I find really, really amazing, because when I was still at SAP, I think even back in 2017, SAP introduced a product, SAP CoPilot. So even I think even some help.sap.com pages are still there that talk about SAP CoPilot. So it was really great to see this as the first digital assistant.
Yes. So back then there was the hype about machine learning and natural language processing. And we leveraged basically this technology to build on this vision actually of actually what we have today, right, with Joule. We already tried that with SAP CoPilot. Of course, natural language processing failed in many regards when it comes to user experience, but the evolution was there towards then what we now have Joule. And even Joule started before the large language model hype. So we built the initial architecture of Joule based again natural language processing. And then our lines of businesses within SAP, like SuccessFactors and so on, had then to migrate basically the capabilities to the large language model world. So the understanding or the idea was, and this came about around 2023 already, that it was based on a conversation between Satya Nadella and Christian Klein. The idea came about, hey, our joint customers, they both use Microsoft 365. They use SAP application. Data is spread out across both platforms. So why don't we integrate the two assistants in a way that they can collaborate with each other? And that sparked basically the discussion, which started beginning of last year. Then in 2024, we got together the respective teams. Of course, there was a lot of political discussions and we had to find basically this sweet spot of where is the potential, how we can collaborate. And we had a bunch of workshops, flew the teams in and out to Redmond and vice versa. And we came up with this vision to set up this bidirectional integration of Joule and Copilot, which really catches the user in a flow of work. It doesn't matter where the user is. So user can be in SAP application, leveraging Copilot capabilities, can be in Microsoft 365, leveraging Joule with all its capabilities. That was the thinking behind it.
And I think that is for me really one of the key aspects. As you mentioned, I mean, there's a huge overlap in the customer and the user base between SAP and Microsoft. And similar, if I look at myself, what I'm doing, sometimes I'm working in SAP applications, and it would be great to be able to leverage Joule in these SAP applications, but also to access data on the Microsoft side, my emails, my Teams messages, my documents. And similarly, the other way around, I'm in Outlook, I'm getting an email from a customer, maybe asking for the latest status of an invoice. So it would be great to have Copilot there and be able to ask Copilot a question about my SAP system. I think that's exactly what we what we accomplished with this integration.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, if you think about it, SAP today has around 480,000 companies worldwide using SAP solutions, right? There is about 2 million Microsoft 365 customers, roughly. So there's a huge opportunity of overlapping customers, and we are just getting started, right? All of us with this generative AI story, right? So Joule is still evolving, Copilot is still evolving, but the data on the structured side within the SAP systems in the backend, and in an unstructured way, also sitting in Microsoft 365 and the Microsoft Graph across the different applications. I think that's powerful information which can be combined, really enable users in the flow of work.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, can you show us a few things maybe on
sure.
an high-level architecture, or how the whole Joule and Copilot flow looks like?
Yes, I can do that. So I think what is important to understand, and let me share my screen here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. What is important to understand is first a little bit of the baseline of the two assistants, right? So we have on one side Joule. So Joule is positioned as as mentioned, generative AI assistant for the SAP universe, basically for the SAP cloud ecosystem. And of course, Joule can be accessed via the conversational UI web client embedded directly in the respective SAP application. And a user can interact with it in natural language and can ask questions about existing purchase orders, about HR policies, about everything existing in the SAP application. That's the vision. And what is happening is that all of our lines of businesses within SAP are building capabilities for this. So we have informational capabilities leveraging the SAP help documentation. We have a dedicated service called document grounding, which enables customers to upload their own policies, travel policies, HR policies, manuals, FAQs you can think of, right? Via a customer-owned Microsoft SharePoint, connect this directly to Joule. And we are leveraging RAG technology, retrieval augmented generation, to then retrieve information from these respective documents for all the customer users, right? But we also do have navigational capabilities, enabling users to navigate across the SAP landscape, transactional capabilities like create, read, update, delete of business objects, and then also newly analytical capabilities, which enable also SAP Analytics Cloud, in the future also DataSphere, other analytical tools, Business Data Cloud within SAP, to directly provide graphs and charts and gives analytical insights within Joule. But on top now, a new layer is the whole agentic game we are introducing in Joule. So all of our lines of businesses are developing specific agents, analytical agents, finance agents, supply chain, on all based on business personas, based on processes, etc., which autonomously also can collaborate with each other, can reason, can leverage tools to come up with specific answers and results. So, and underneath that, we have the Joule Studio and AI Foundation, which you can think of as this extensibility layer for Joule, similarly to Copilot Studio, which enables customers and users to build their own Joule skills and capabilities, but also create their own agents. So Joule Studio is something we actually will release officially today.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Great timing.
From a skill development perspective, from an agentic development perspective, we plan to release the beta program by end of this month.
Oh, great.
And on the other side, we have a similar setup, right? So maybe Holger, you want to quickly guide us through this.
Exactly. So what I find really, really interesting there is that on a high level, if you compare these two, there are so many similarities. I mean, as you said, Joule runs in different SAP user interfaces. Copilot runs in different Microsoft user interfaces. So be it obviously the standalone M365 Copilot, but also Copilot in Excel, Copilot in Outlook, Copilot in Teams, in Word, and so on. So basically, it's the digital assistant, very similar like on the Joule side, for the Microsoft stack, basically. So the user can go in there, they can leverage Copilot from within the M365 applications, but then also access information made available via the Microsoft Graph. So whether it is your emails that you have stored somewhere, whether it is Teams messages or documents stored in SharePoint, in OneDrive, someone shares a document with you, you have access via Copilot to these informations. It's not only, again, very similar like with the Joule, it's not only a digital assistant that allows you to interact with the data, but you can also have agents, autonomous agents that automatically work on your data. So an email comes in, you can have an agent that reacts to this incoming email, that looks up, retrieves additional information, and then performs also actions on these incoming triggers, basically. So really this autonomous feedback. Then with the whole M365 Copilot platform, basically, we also have apparently over thousands of agents now available from third-party vendors on the M365 Copilot, and we're starting to really have this interaction between these agents, that one agent can call another agent, fetch additional information, then reason with some other agent, and then finally return the information back to you. Again, similar, you mentioned it already, similar like the Joule Studio, we also have the Copilot Studio, which allows you to build your own agents, to extend existing agents, to orchestrate across different agents. So I thought it was really, really interesting on a high level how these two stacks, the Joule, SAP Joule Copilot basic, or the SAP Joule digital agent, and the M365 Copilot agent work together on or have a similar architecture.
What I find super interesting is that as of today, there is no industry standard when it comes to agentic collaboration, right? So everyone, it seems like in the market, and we have conversations with many customers, and there is no secret around it. Also, we are in a triangle closely collaborating between Microsoft, SAP, and Google, right, on this agentic collaboration concept and how we can define such an industry standard, right? And we have basically started this Copilot and Joule story with this perspective, with this objective, without all of these tools and capabilities existing during this time, right? So we had to figure out this whole security concept and communication concept from scratch, right? And I find this super interesting. So we are fairly early with this. And of course, now it further evolves and we need to further collaborate together to see how we can streamline this.
But I think the work that we have done, actually, I mean, yes, and there are now A2A, there are MCP, there are new protocols coming up, but I think the work that we have figured out and solved in the Joule and Copilot integration, like the whole single sign-on integration, like the principal propagation and a lot of other security enterprise related topics that are really, really relevant if you want to have different agents communicating to each other. That's something that we will also be able to bring over to new protocols that might evolve. We have done the foundation now, and we have a product, the Joule and Copilot integration, that you can now use in an enterprise context. Honestly, if I look at the other open protocols that are currently being created, I don't see them being enterprise ready yet. I mean,
Yes.
there's some amazing things happening there, but I wouldn't recommend a customer to use, let's put it out there, MCP in an enterprise context. There are still too many open topics. With the
Yes.
Joule and Copilot integration, we have figured this out. This is something that you can use in production today, and I feel comfortable telling this to customers. I really think the whole enterprise readiness is there, and all the learnings that we had in this project, we will bring forward also in the next integration with other protocols.
Yes, 100% agree. I also, so I mean, let's quickly cut to the chase here, right?
Yes.
So what we are trying to do is really set up this bidirectional integration. Now, what is the meaning of bidirectional? We actually mean that it doesn't really matter where the user is. I've mentioned it quickly in the beginning, right? But a user can be in Copilot for Microsoft 365 and interact with Joule, right? There are different ways and different user experience patterns. We can dive into this and also show a demo in a little bit. But there is on the other side also then Joule sitting within the respective SAP application. So a user can then, via Joule, directly interact with Copilot, retrieve information sitting in Microsoft SharePoint, sitting in OneDrive, sitting in Microsoft Teams, Outlook, etc. And in the future, hopefully also can create actions like calendar entries, send out emails and Microsoft Teams messages and so on. So all of this in theory is possible as of today, leveraging Microsoft Graph APIs. But this is not what we are trying to do here, to create individual API-based integration. What you really want is to have the two copilots collaborate with each other in natural language via response and prompt forwarding. So from a user experience standpoint, you can see here on the left side, a user sitting in the SAP application, sitting in SAP Start, SuccessFactors, you name it, and simply opens up Joule and can ask a question which is relevant for Microsoft Copilot. So Joule will register that, will identify that this specific utterance, user utterance, is relevant for Copilot, and then forwards this request to Copilot. Through identity propagation, it is ensured that each application knows who the user is, right? And what's the roles and permission of the user. Vice versa, on the other side, a user can be in Microsoft 365 Copilot, or also leverage Joule via the Microsoft Teams chat directly as a custom engine agent, and further interact with Joule with all of its setup, which has happened in the SAP backend. So the customer decides how Joule is being provisioned and set up. It can be set up only within an SAP application with one individual, can be set up across multiple SAP applications in a cross-user experience way. So depending on all of these, on this setup, the user can then simply interact with Joule as they would interact with it directly in the SAP application, but not interrupted in the flow of work. The great thing about this is that also custom capabilities of Joule, right? Built via Joule Studio, agents built via Joule Studio, individual skills, capability, calling third-party APIs, all of this can be then leveraged directly through Copilot.
Yeah. Well, what I always like when I talk about this slide here is one of our colleagues, Daniel Zimmerman. I think he came this phrase, the ask a friend scenario, and I think this fits so extremely well. So if someone asks me a question about SAP, yeah, I know a little about SAP, but I have a friend. I can ask Christoph, who knows SAP inside out. So instead of me answering, I'll ask Christoph. Christoph knows everything about SAP. You give me the answer, and then I return it to the question who asked me. And similar around. I mean, if you have a question about Microsoft, maybe you would not answer it yourself, but you would ask me, a friend, and I would help you get the answer on the Microsoft side. And I think that's exactly what we are doing here with the Joule and Copilot integration. Copilot is great when it comes to the Microsoft world, but when it comes to SAP, it doesn't know a lot of things. But luckily, Copilot has a friend called Joule. So Copilot asks his friend Joule. Joule returns the answer from the SAP side, and that's it. And similarly, the other way around. If someone asks Joule a question about incoming emails, Joule has a good friend, Copilot. So Joule asks Copilot. Copilot looks up the email information and returns it to Joule. And I think this is a perfect example how integrating these tool agents can really help a customer in their, as you said, in their flow of work.
And that's just the beginning, right? So right now you can be in either platform and leverage the other assistant, the other capabilities. In the future, once we further evolve towards this agentic collaboration concept, you can even think of responses which are being defined and created jointly between the two, right, in a collaborative manner.
Yeah.
So there's data being taken from one system, data taken from another system. They both reason together, collaborate with it together, and provide this result. I think one aspect which is very important for us is also always provide transparent user experience. So user always is aware where a response is coming from, right?
Yeah.
But so we do understand now Joule, Copilot have a fairly similar architectural concept. We understand they shouldn't call individual APIs, but rather communicate via natural language. So maybe, Diana, why don't you give us a little bit more insights on this technical setup?
Sure, I'll happily do. Let me then share my screen. Give me a second. And if you could please confirm that it's visible. Okay, great. Yes. So thanks very much for the example of talking to a friend. It's actually a very good segue to what I'm about to say. So what you can see here is the general architecture of the setup of the integration. But before we get into the integration, there's always something called prerequisites. You cannot do the integration without some basic steps. So you cannot integrate tools if you don't have the tools. First of all, it is quite obvious what you need is the Microsoft Entra tenant in place. So Microsoft 365 tenant in place, and the Joule tenant that is configured with the necessary LOBs. Otherwise, of course, you will not have access to the information you're looking for. Now, the second step, the second prerequisite you have is they need to have trust set up between both of them. So we need to establish this trust between Microsoft Entra tenant and SAP Cloud Identity Services tenant, which I will refer to IAS in a second. Let me here stop for a second with your example about the friends, because this might be a little bit confusing. And I remember customers asking us about it. So whenever you ask a question within Copilot to Joule, your friend has the same rights as you.
Yeah.
So you are not going to have answer. Your friend is not CEO of SAP. Your friend is Chris, which is, for example, for this example, your level of access. So you are not going to retrieve anything else you would be able to retrieve otherwise. So in short words, whatever you can get in Joule yourself is what you can get from Joule from Copilot. So I think it's very important to stress, because that can cause a little bit of jitterness here. And I wanted to make sure that this is clear. Okay, so we've discussed the basics, we've got our tenants in place, and we've got the trust established. Now we can start by downloading the SAP Joule app from Microsoft Teams Store, and we can follow up the steps of the integration. I believe you're going to send all the links later on, Holger, so
we will, yes.
I will not go through the documentation. So now we can start our journey. We start here in the Microsoft 365 tenant, and the user has two options. Either they can use directly the Joule app as downloaded, or installed, excuse me. Or you can use Copilot by just using @SAP Joule, so you can get exactly the same access. Whichever way, this is exactly the idea of the integration. To wherever you start, you have the access you need. Now that the iteration, or in easier words, prompts is provided by the user, it comes to the bot framework, and the bot framework sees whether it's relevant for Copilot or Joule. In our example, it's relevant for Joule. So this utterance reaches a Teams bot. And this is very important because in here, this is where we actually have the mapping of the Entra identity and identity in IAS. So this is when we check, okay, is the user allowed to get the answer? Yes, please. Then we are ready to go to Joule, that can do all the magic of retrieving the important information using the resources within Joule and all the connected LOBs. Great.
That's actually just to also pick up what Chris mentioned, that we are not talking about an API integration. For me, actually, this small thing is one of the key benefits of the Joule and Copilot integration, because when I ask Joule, I don't need to know, is a SuccessFactors system connected? Is an S/4HANA system connected? Is a Concur system connected? What are the APIs that are available? What are the permissions that this specific user has in the backend system? I or Copilot just ask Joule, and then Joule does the magic of what are the different backend systems, what are the permissions that this specific user has, and so on. And I think that is really one of the huge differences to a simple API integration from Copilot to an SAP system.
And that's also, I mean, many customers ask this, right? So now is all of my SAP data, for example, being shared now with Microsoft and vice versa.
Yeah.
I mean, what we are doing is, of course, the respective prompts and responses from the respective assistants are landing in the each other's user experience and conversational UI. But besides that, no data is being shared, right? So it still stays secure in the respective systems. The processing happens there. So I believe that's a great solution. Yeah.
Sorry,
Diana. That's a great point. No, don't be sorry, please. I actually am happy that you're asking question, because that means that this is relevant. So the best solution ever. So just to catch up where I've been, we've came up from the Copilot, we got to the bot framework, we got Teams exchanging the tokens, Teams bot exchanging the tokens and getting the utterance to Joule orchestration. Now Joule is reaching with the information to get the information to the LOB tenants and all the systems that are connected. And when the answer is ready to go, it comes back to the first place, so to either to the Joule, SAP Joule Teams app or to the Copilot agent. So this solution has already gone live at the end of May in this direction from Copilot to Joule, and soon we will have the other direction live as well, but I will not spoil anything. I will let Chris talk about it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can quickly share this overview, right? Second. There we go. So as Diana mentioned, basically, so the Joule in Copilot direction is already generally available. This means customers who have set up Joule in their respective SAP application can leverage the custom engine agent of Joule in Microsoft 365, can set this up, can set up the communication scenario, the identity propagation. We have detailed documentation on this. We also do have the Business AI Regional Implementation Group team, which can support customers in setting this up, right? So if there is a customer right now listening, if there's a partner listening, interested in this, struggling with this setup, feel free to reach out to us. There are various ways, LinkedIn, etc. We'll also monitor the YouTube comments and make sure, and the blog post comments, etc. Underneath the documentation. So ensure that all of our customers feel supported in setting this up. So with this, This allows users and customers to leverage Joule within Microsoft Teams, within Microsoft 365 Copilot. And the other direction of now Copilot capabilities becoming available within SAP applications, within Joule. That is then the second topic, which the second direction, which we are planning to release then already by end of Q3 as a first scope. And again, the objective is to further fine-tune this, move together and evolve with the market when it comes to agentic collaboration, to have the two assistants and agents collaborate with each other really and provide consolidated reasoning. So Diana, maybe over to you in terms of documentation. Can you share a little bit some insights in when a customer wants to set this up, how should they best start with it?
Yes, let me just switch back to my screen and I will show you something that I would probably use as a starting page. But in general, the easiest way to go around it is to go to help.sap.com, look for Joule, look for Copilot within the search, and that's what you're supposed to land at. What I have just mentioned to you before, so the view with the architecture, you can easily get it from here. As I mentioned, there are the prerequisites that you need to have in place. So you need to configure your SAP Cloud Identity Services and Microsoft Entra ID for Joule. So just to show you, this is going to be visible in a form of a blog. Maybe that's a tiny bit too big, so let me make it small. So this is just a step-by-step guide. It's pretty straightforward. We keep it up to date. So whenever you need to check where you stand, this is where you need to go. And then once we've got that in place, we have the next step, which is enabling the Copilot and Teams. Sorry for that. And this is exactly where you can even see the picture that I've just shown to you. So you will see the next steps regarding enabling Microsoft Copilot and Teams. When it comes to the other direction, that's exactly the same. It's still not released, but once it's released, exactly the same point when you can reach for information. It's pretty easy and straightforward. And shall that not be easy, or if you have any kind of questions, just in the bottom there is a comment section. You can always leave us some feedback. It's always welcome. And yeah, we can always update if there is anything missing on everything you would like to have clarified in any better way. I believe Holger is going to provide all the links later on.
Exactly. We'll put all the links in the show notes. Yeah.
Exactly. And I also encourage you to take a look into the introduction about Joule. So you just understand what Joule is offering, because what this integration does is enable the discussion between the two products. So maybe sometimes your question or problem lays exactly in, okay, how do I need to set up Joule to get the information I'm looking for? You are going to find it all in help.sap.com.
Perfect. So now, I mean, now that we've seen the architecture, the documentation, we saw some slides. Diana, can you also show us?
You want the fun part.
Exactly. I want to see it in action.
Yes. Great. Then, yeah, I've got it prepared. Let's hope it cooperates today. As I mentioned to you, there are two options that you can go around it. So either open directly in the app, but for the purpose of our discussion today, I'm going to use Copilot just because it's a discussion about the Copilot. So you will have your agent activated, and let's see what Joule has to say. So let's start with a very standard thing. You should be polite. Okay, so now we can see that we are all good. We can start with our questions. Let's see about some basic stuff. So it is a very typical question you can ask to Joule, like, show me my last purchase orders. And you can see that Joule retrieves some purchase orders. Of course, for the sake of this video, there is some demo content, and you can access it directly in the system. Easy
so basically, you get a short summary in this adaptive card, but then you can always very easily jump a deep link basically to the purchase order in this case, the S/4HANA system.
Exactly. So that's what you can use it for everyday work. But let's take an example that is quite like down to earth, because we also have a lot of HR requests. Each one of us is a little bit lost in documentation. How am I supposed to change this? How am I supposed to change that? Let's take a look at changing the phone number. Let's say, assume I bought my new phone and I changed the number. Let's say what Joule says about it. Okay, something has been retrieved. All right, so we've got the business phone number, cell, and home. All right, let's change then the business number. All right, so we can see that there is the phone number. Let's change it.
That's actually pretty cool. I mean, we saw the first request was going against the S/4HANA system. And now I guess this second request is now going against an SAP SuccessFactors system.
That's correct. Okay, so yeah, there's no need to look into the success factors. You can change the numbers. Joule says, okay, this is how it's going to look like. Are you happy? Do you consent? So this is also an important step. It doesn't just do things without asking. It just also makes sure that you confirm every step. Okay, so
perfect.
All done. We're good.
Nice. So this was basically this human in the loop scenario where you ask Joule to update something, then it's almost done basically, but it just asks for confirmation.
Yes. And one more step, I just wanted to make sure that I show you, okay, it has been changed. So now you've got the right answer in place.
Really nice. Cool. And this is now here working out of Teams. So you have the SAP Joule agent basically in Teams. But as you said, this would also work out of M365 Copilot and in the future then also other places basically.
Of course. And shall I not be able to not have the rights to do these changes? I will be prompted this is not available.
Good point.
For me.
And just to emphasize this again, right? So if a customer has an Ariba, has, for example, S/4HANA, has a SuccessFactors, and has Joule provisioned in the respective SAP application in a way connected via a central BTP sub-account connected to this respective application, and set up Joule in a cross-unified way that Joule has access to all of these different applications, then you can be in Microsoft Teams, Microsoft CoPilot, and interact directly with Joule and ask questions upon all of these different applications, right? So that's really powerful.
I agree.
If you think the opposite is that a user really needs to open up 50 different tabs in different applications, needs to switch back and forth, retrieve information, etc., right? Can stay in one spot and ask your friend.
No, absolutely. And I think especially in these scenarios where I am starting my journey out of Teams, for example, I might not know, is this information now in my S/4HANA system? Is it in SuccessFactors? Is it in Concur? Is it in Ariba? I don't know. But the cool thing is I can just ask Joule and Joule figures out where this information is coming from. And I think that alone, I mean, if I'm a power user, I know I need to go to Ariba. And I know what kind of information I'll get there. But if I'm a casual user that just uses my SAP system via Teams, then maybe I'm not so familiar with these kind of things. And by just asking Joule here, I get all the information that I have access to, obviously, as you said. So if I don't have a user in the Ariba system, well, then I don't get any information back from the Ariba system. Very nice.
Absolutely. And, there are some everyday tasks that you just don't know where to reach for. And if you wanted, I can give you one more example. It's even
Yes,
connected
please.
to my personal situation. So you gentlemen probably didn't have the fun of changing your last name, but I did when I got married. And I had no clue how to change it. So I spent back then a little bit of time figuring out in the documentation whom to contact, where to write
Cool.
it,
Yeah.
is it a ticket or
Very.
not. And here, what you can do is like, I would like to change my legal name.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And of course, maybe not every single step can be done. This is spoiler alert. You will need to have some consent at the end of the chain, so somebody needs to approve it. You just cannot change this kind of information without any
So
update.
that's a business process, right? Which
exactly.
is
So I can see. So in this example, this is Charles Brown. Let's say, okay, I will allow myself a little joke here. Hopefully nobody gets upset.
I would like to change my middle name to the third.
Referring to Charles.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there it says, okay, this is what it is going to look like. Would you like to submit it? Yes, please. Charles the Third. And here, this is exactly what I was talking about. So the changes need to be approved. So there are also things that you can change, but not just like that. So it's not like you can go into Copilot or Joule directly, ask for whatever, get any change done, and you're happy, and then the system is messed up. You actually do have a chain of acceptance in place. Okay, I will have no comment at this time. And here we go. Now we're waiting for HR to confirm or send me next steps.
Well, great. Your request has been sent for approval. Perfect. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, great. I think this is a fantastic demo, and it really shows the power of this Joule integration in Teams. And as you said, you don't need to change your legal name so often, so you might not know who to reach out to, what processes to kick off. But here you can just ask Joule. Joule figures out what needs to be done, and it even triggered the admin approval step. Very nice. Okay, good. I think with this, we introduced the topic. We had a beautiful demo. We actually also talked about the roadmap already. Any additional last thoughts on the topic? Otherwise, I think we have a really nice overview, and hopefully we have lots of new customers that go through the documentation, that get started and implement this Joule and Copilot integration.
Yeah, those will be my last word. Please try it out, take a look, give us feedback, especially if it's positive. We also like positive feedback. And yeah, hope to come soon to you with the next side of the integration with Joule as a host. That's coming soon. Stay tuned.
Perfect. Well, Diana, Christoph, thank you
I'm
so
back.
much.
I had a minor timeout of my internet connection, but I'm back now.
Oh, perfect. So perfect timing.
Yeah.
Good.
We're just sharing last opinions, last words. I invited everybody to check out Joule as a host.
Yeah. So I mean, my last couple of comments. So as a customer, feel free to start with this journey, right? Try to set this up. If you have struggles with it, setting this up, feel free to reach out. If you have feedback, reach out to us. These are two very, very complex setups of Copilot with the underlying complexity of Microsoft 365, with Joule, the underlying complexity of SAP landscape. So there is a lot currently we are driving to make this as seamless as possible, right? And this obviously takes some iteration and time, but we are confident that this is now at a place where it can provide value to our customers. So we are super excited about this, super happy about the collaboration with Microsoft, and continue the journey along. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, perfect closing words, Christoph. Thank you so much. With this, Diana, Christoph, thanks for joining us today. As you said, Diana, hopefully we will have a follow-up once we have the Joule as a host, and then maybe we can see another nice demo from you. For now, thanks for joining us, and yeah, see you soon.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.